to the mysteries of space. Astronaut Scott Kelly is back from nearly a year orbiting the Earth, and for a while he was 2 inches taller. In his first TV interview with a local station in Houston last night, he talked about the effect his return has had on his skin, of all things.
For a number of days, very, very sensitive, like burning feeling almost, because I guess because my skin didn't have any pressure on it for so long. It's kind of like, maybe now I understand why babies cry when they come out of the womb, right? Hey, I'll get back to 100% here, hopefully pretty soon.
I met his brother Mark, fellow astronaut, and twin, the husband of Gabby Giffords at the New Hampshire primary, and they really are identical twins. This Kelly says muscles are extremely sore as well, not used to all this gravity pulling them down. So what do we learn from this journey? Another Kelly, as in Beatty of Sky and Telescope magazine, joins me to discuss. Kelly, it's good to see you.
As always.
So I understand the weak muscle thing, but skin burning, 2 inches taller, at least temporarily. What's that about?
Well, the 2 inches taller is because you don't have gravity pulling you down, so your body just sort of stretches out. He returned to normal
like in
quickly.
days or a day or so, right?
Yeah, that returned pretty quickly. You would have the same thing if you did like a month of bed rest.
Well,
Same thing would
I'm not
happen.
going to be doing that, so it's okay. How about the skin burning?
Yeah,
What's
the
that
skin
about?
burning, if you can imagine, all the calluses that you build up, right, from having everyday activity would gradually wear away because you're not touching anything, really. You're floating around most of the time.
But I assume what doctors want to know and scientists want to know most, not just the outward things, the inward things, like what happened to his body while he was there for 340 days. That's the key question, right?
That's right. And it's important to recognize that he is not the first person to spend 340 days in space.
The Russian was
he's
there, right?
tied, yeah, he had a Russian with him, and he's tied for like 5th place. But he has this identical twin. There's a new biomedical science called omics, where you study the metabolites in your bloodstream and the change in your DNA and the change in your muscle mass. And because he has his twin on Earth, they can compare the two of them, you see. And among other things, radiation in space is a big deal. He got 20 times more radiation throughout his 2 flights, this was his second, than his brother, Mark, did in his 54 days in space.
You know, I often ask you, why do we care about these things? And by the way, the phenomenal nature of it, I care about. But from what I understand, the reason we care a lot about this is this experiment, if I can call it that, is going to go a long way towards determining whether we can send a man or a woman to Mars in the 30s, right?
Exactly.
That's what this is about.
Exactly. Trips to Mars are not quick. They take
9 months, 10 months?
To get there, and then the same level of time to get back. So, in The Martian, we talked about this.
Yes.
The next mission doesn't come for 3 years. You got to get there and get back, and you've got to be able to perform once you get on the ground.
Okay, so, and also food. This food matters a lot to me on Earth. I assumed they were still doing these squeeze things and whatever. Some of the food was actually pretty edible from what I've read, right?
Yeah,
these space tacos. And
he didn't want the tube stuff. So it's all freeze-dried. So you add water to it and then you heat it up. So they don't use bread, they use tortillas a lot because of the particles in the bread would be bad for the equipment. He had space tacos, he had fresh fruit and vegetables whenever there was a supply mission, and it's a pretty normal diet.
But he had to grow things a la The Martian too, did he not?
Yes.
Because produce and things couldn't be stored and that sort of thing.
That's right.
Okay, can we move? I'm actually a little aggravated with you. For years, almost since I met you, I've been saying my one goal in life, I have a number, my one goal relating to you is to see the Aurora Borealis. I wake up the other day to see the picture in the paper. It was here in New England, and you didn't call me. So assuming I'm forgiving, 2 things. 1, why was it here? Why did we see it here? And 2, did we know in advance, this is the part that implicates you, that it might be visible?
So I'll tell you 3 things. First of all, we didn't really know much more than a couple of days in advance. Second, it was a pulse of energy, energetic particles that came out from the sun, essentially attacked our atmosphere, interacted with gases very high up, and that's what causes the glow, just like a fluorescent light. Really, it's the same process. The third thing is that while what you saw were pictures, the camera sees them a lot fainter than the human eye does. I went out and looked. I know a lot of people who went out and looked. They didn't see them, but their cameras recorded it.
And
so I didn't want to wake you up in the middle of the night.
Nice excuse. Oh, speaking of that, Jupiter is about, I mean, it's not quite as spectacular, right? Because we see Jupiter. Do we not see Jupiter in the same way every year or two or that sort of thing?
It comes around every year on a cycle, and tonight, March 8th, is Jupiter's what we call opposition, opposite the sun in the sky. It's as close as it gets to Earth. So after the sun goes down, turn around the other direction, look toward the east, and you'll see an unmistakable bright star. That's Jupiter.
And it has dozens of moons. We don't get to see the moons, do we?
We get to see four. Four of them are at least the size of our own Earth's moon.
Yeah.
And if you have a pair of binoculars even, steady them against a wall or a tree. If they're powerful enough, you can pick out the moons. You don't even need a telescope.
Okay, so when you sat down on set here, you say, I have a prediction about you, Jim, and it makes me a little nervous, but I'll ask you anyway. What is the prediction?
August 21st, 2017, 18 months from now.
Okay, what happens?
You will not be here for your show because you're going to be somewhere in the United States along the path of a total solar eclipse that's happening on that date. It's a Monday.
Is that, and where do I have to go?
Anywhere from Oregon through Wyoming, over St. Louis, Nashville, the Carolinas. It's a narrow track about 100 miles long. And the reason I mention that is that tonight, in Indonesia, it'll be daytime there. There'll also be a total solar eclipse. You can go to skyandtelescope.com and get links for the webcast where you can watch it live.
How spectacular is this solar eclipse?
It is the best thing ever.
Give us 30 seconds on one.
So the sky goes dark, birds go to roost, animals quiet. You start to see the brightest stars and planets in the sky. The temperature drops 20 degrees, and up in the sky is a black hole in the sky where the sun used to be, surrounded by an electric wreath of its atmosphere, the corona.
You described it beautifully. You know, when you said I wouldn't be here in August of 2017, thousands of viewers just cheered, by the way. I want you to know, Kelly Beatty, it's great to see you. Kelly, thanks.